Welcome to the December 11, 2015 Colorado Inside Out post-game, a special web-exclusive production here on Channel 12. It's going to be a doozy, trust me. Let's get a quick take on the Colorado Supreme Court hearing arguments this week regarding the rights of cities to ban fracking in Colorado. The cases stem from bans passed in Longmont and in Fort Collins and will likely have a major effect on the 2016 statewide ballot. Patty Calhoun from Westward, this topic would have been on the ballot in 2014, except for kind of a last-minute deal that John Hickenlooper helped to put together. This is probably going to be there again, except if we get some sort of other decision from the Supreme Court. Do you think this might stop ballot issues coming in 2016? What do you think?
No, I don't think it's going to stop ballot issues, because if the environmentalists, for example, the ones who are pushing the anti-fracking ballot measures, if they agree with the court, maybe the oil and gas industry will push something else. I mean, we already have seen just how hard it is even to get consensus with the commission, the oil and gas group that is considering this issue that Hickenlooper put together. They're supposed to issue a report. Their final meeting is in January, and they are as fractious as everybody is over fracking. So we'll see if the Supreme Court, the Colorado Supreme Court, comes down with any decision that makes everyone happy, but I am sure we will have this on the ballot in 2016. There's not going to be the last second Jared Polis compromise.
David Kolp from the Independence Institute and DU Law School. Is this just one more chapter in the long book of war over fracking in Colorado?
Well, the war on science, more precisely. But I predict the Supreme Court will rule in favor of the state and against these local bans, because this is something that is minutely and comprehensively regulated at the state level, and by precedent, that makes it preemptive. So what the state says, you can do it when you do it in this very particular way. A county can't come in, or a city, and say you can't do it at all. The best argument the cities have is it's not good enough, is there was a case that said, well, I think it was La Plata County, you're going to drill according to the rules about how the state says you should do it, but in La Plata County, fine, go ahead and do that, but you have to get a permit from us too. And the court said that's okay, because, well, you're still going to be doing what the state said. You know, that level of just ask for a permit for what you're allowed to do is okay. But this isn't ask for a permit, this is a prohibition. It's a 5-year moratorium, as in moratorium from death, can't do it at all. And the fallback argument for Longmont and other cities is, well, we're not banning oil extraction entirely. We're just saying you can't do it in a certain way, and you can do it in another way, which is sort of like saying, well, we're not banning skiing in the area because you can still use barrel staves. You know, if you want to use the obsolete technology, that's all right with us. And I think that's not going to, as a practical matter, succeed in the Colorado Supreme Court.
Eric Sonam, political analyst, what effect do you think this will have on at least the near term with the election coming up?
Clearly, at some point in time, we're headed for a battle royale in this state with the ultimate ballot issue fight. The money that will get spent on this is unbelievable. Makes me wish I was maybe in my own line of work, because there is money to be made, shall we say. Whether that is 2016 or 2018, I'm not yet sure. I think, you know, there's the court factor that we're talking about here. There are other political factors. I think the biggest factor might be the economic factor, which is the price. The price per barrel of gas and oil is way down, and so you don't have quite the intensity. The issue is still hot, but I don't perceive it as quite as hot as it was 18 or 24 months ago leading up to the 2014 cycle. So whether it happens this time or not, maybe David or Penn here, as the lawyers at the table, can talk about the timeline of this decision, but my surmise is if oral arguments were heard by the Supreme Court in early December, you're probably looking at a decision in April, May, somewhere in that approximate timeline. You're getting pretty late if it's an adverse decision in terms of the fractivists' point of view. If it's an adverse decision to them, you're getting pretty late in that ballot setting title to go get your language, to go get your signatures and everything else. Now, whether they jump the gun on that and are doing it anyway remains to be seen. And they also have to figure out where their funding is coming from, because I don't think the bank of Jared Polis is going to be as open to them this time as it may have been in 2014.
Penfield Tate, attorney with QTAC Rock, also a longtime state lawmaker. What do you think we're going to see after the decision comes down? Is this, again, just going to set off more fighting? Because we're used to seeing the Supreme Court, whether in Colorado or the U.S. Supreme Court, bring some finality to arguments. This seems that there may not be a chance at some finality here.
Well, the problem is in Colorado, where you have easy access to get a constitutional or statutory amendment on the ballot, the court decision is going to be the beginning of the next strategy to be deployed in this battle. You know, the other thing that's not discussed is, in addition to this court case and the fact that the justices now have to consider this, we've already got the battle playing out on TV. I mean, you see TV commercials with scared kids, you see TV commercials primarily with women walking by babbling brooks talking about, you know, I love the environment and I believe in fracking and oil. So the war for the minds and opinions of Coloradans has never stopped. The court decision is simply going to prompt a series of ballot measures, because the loser of the court decision is not going to accept that. So we're going to have a bunch of ballot measures, which is typically the worst place to get this figured out. The best place to resolve it is in the legislature. Let everybody have a battle royale, show up and testify, but this really ought to be done at a state level. And I'm not even saying cities and local communities shouldn't have a right to have some say in this, but this impacts the entire state, because what you can't do in one place gets pushed someplace else. So every decision, in either directly or indirectly, affects someone else. This is not going to be resolved until we potentially go through 2 or 3 rounds of ballot initiatives, and it's going to be who runs out of money and energy first, quite frankly.
Well, it's a good time to be a political consultant sometime. I agree with you there, Eric. That is all the time we have for Colorado Inside Out postgame this week. Leave us a comment and tell us what you think. For everyone here at CPT12.org, I'm Dominic Dezzutti. Thanks for watching.